You're listening to WUSB 90.1 FM. We're ChinaBlue. I'm Michael Wu, and I'm your host for today. Today we have some special guests with us today. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
All right. Hi, my name is Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Jessie.
And my name is Julie.
Welcome.
So we're gonna start with a Chinese proverb of the day. It's 学无止境. This means that person never stops learning. And this ties in with our topics for today's podcast.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, so today we're gonna talk about online classes and online club activities. So since we were last here, we used to be in person and at the radio station recording these shows, but now we are completely online and we're all at home. So what do you guys think are like the major differences that you guys see with running, doing all your activities at home, having your classes online as opposed to like having them in person?
Well, for me, I think that it's harder to motivate yourself and manage your time because you don't see people like back then when we had the libraries open. When I see other people studying really hard, like it will motivate me as well. Like, I have to get my stuff together and also study hard. So that's one of the main differences for me. So I prefer in-person classes. What about you guys?
Yeah, I agree with Jennifer because I know for me, like when I study, I normally study at the library and I stay very late because I just like to study when there's people around me. But then because everything's online now, so then I'll just be studying alone. And it's really hard to like motivate myself to continue to study for a class or my exams and not get sidetracked by like other stuff.
I agree too. We always rent a room there, and everyone stayed till like 5 a.m. in the morning studying. And I can even ask my friends for like questions who are smarter than me or who has more knowledge than me, and it actually helped a lot. But I'm asking Google right now and I do not know if that's right or wrong, so it's very sad.
Yeah, I think it's also getting a little difficult for me as well. One of the major differences for me at least is that I find it harder to be engaged in class. Like before it was more interactive and like the activities were like face to face, and I feel like that's very important for learning. And I think students nowadays will have a lot of difficulty being engaged through Zoom. There's like some workarounds to that, like we implement like breakout rooms and like other activities where you can work with your classmates and stuff. I see Jesse's a little upset at the at the sound of breakout rooms, but I think they're a good way to meet your classmates and get to know them better. It's better than nothing.
I feel like there's just a lot of self-learning materials right now, and sometimes it's really hard to kind of grasp the material as good as like if you just had a professor explaining to you directly.
True.
Yeah. Have you guys been like going to office hours like more or less because of the transition to online settings? Has it been harder to reach out for help?
Yeah. I actually went to office hours a lot when it was in person because I just wanted the professor to know me, know myself, and that I'm trying hard, blah, blah, blah. But after it turned online, it's not only us, but some professors kind of switch their office hours too, and it's kind of hard to make an appointment with them since they have their own life too. And if like when it comes to online, it's way harder or more difficult than in-person office hour.
Yeah.
I actually found it like that would go to office hours more now that it's like online, because it's just easier having virtual because I don't have to be there. And like the appointment, I just like most professors are like, if you reach out and set an appointment, they try to make it to that. So then I just have a Zoom call with them and it's nice and short and that's it. So to
True.
me, it doesn't really make a difference like that.
I do think I go to office hours more often if I'm online because I think it's just more convenient for me. It's like just a few clicks away instead of like me having to actually go to the building and then go up to find them.
Yeah.
How about you, Michael?
I don't know. I'm gonna skip this question.
I mean, Michael's a TA, right? So have people been like, how's your experience being a TA in a virtual setting?
I can't compare it to anything. I haven't TA'd like in person, but for online it was not too difficult. It was easy like to answer people's questions online, and I think it wasn't too bad of an experience.
Does a lot of students come to your office hours?
I wouldn't know. I'm gonna say no.
Huh?
Okay.
I'm gonna say students did not come to office hours.
I got you. Me too. It's okay.
I don't think your professor wants to hear that.
No, they probably all went to my professor for office hours. The professors are better, and I definitely prefer speaking to the professor if I'm gonna go to office hours.
True.
Right. So now that classes are online, some of them have the options of like being asynchronous, and like some of them are synchronous. Do you guys understand what that means?
Yeah.
So with asynchronous, you guys can the students can work at their own pace. I'm just speaking so our viewers can understand. Okay, so asynchronous classes, all right, okay. I guess I won't explain it then. What do you guys think about?
No, I think you should explain it to the viewers. Like, to the listeners. What if they don't know what that means? Not all of us are students, right?
Yeah. I feel like some students don't even know what it means until like the class actually starts.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was asking my
I didn't know for a long time too. So apparently asynchronous means that like you can work at your own pace, and basically like your lectures will be pre-recorded and like uploaded, so you can watch them whenever you want to, and you don't have to follow the schedule that they set out in a synchronous class, like where you have to come in every week at this specific time. Instead, you can watch it all in one night or something like that. Have you guys been like using this to your advantage, and like do you guys like this?
I have both classes, which is asynchronous and synchronous, but they both have pros and cons. For pros, for asynchronous, is that like in person, like attending classes? Right?
Julie, that means
I'm actually confused. But like the classes that I have to attend, I have to wake up early in the morning to be in their class, and professor actually speaking directing to me, it made me understand more. But for the pre-uploaded classes, I think that I like the class better because, you know, if there's one classes per week, I always forget my materials, and if the next class comes and he mentions one materials from last week and we all go like, what was that? But for the uploaded classes, when we study for exams, obviously I listen to the lectures and we can just put it all in one space and then memorize it quickly.
Yeah. What do you think, Jen?
I feel like there's an advantage with asynchronous classes if you can manage your time well, because like say that week you have more time, right? Then you can watch an extra lecture, and then the following week, you know, if you know you have midterms coming up, for another class, you know, okay, well, I have that empty space to study. But I feel like if you don't manage your time well, then you're gonna end up cramming all your lectures like the day before an exam or like a couple days before an exam. So,
Have you been doing that?
You know, I don't like to answer that. I won't like to answer that question, you know. What about you, Michael? What about you, like?
Yeah, I'm definitely like, so yeah, I think it comes down to like time management. People who can like, you know, get up and like start working as soon as the day begins, this is gonna be like great for them. They can, you know, knock out all their tasks like as early as possible. If there are any people like that, I aspire to be like you guys. But unfortunately, I'm one of those people that procrastinates and you know, put things off to the last minute. So a lot of my assignments are crammed, I guess, but it's also convenient for me, and I enjoy it, and I prefer this method. Yeah. Jesse, do you have any input?
I think like I like asynchronous classes in a way because I can kind of make my own schedule for my classes. So like what Jennifer said. And I think that helps me out to plan my schedule every day so that I'm not rushing myself or cramming everything in the last minute.
Yeah. I also want to add, like, it also kind of depends on which classes. I feel like for some classes, it helps to just have like a steady schedule like set out for you. So the synchronous method is better, and you know, it's less on you to like manage it yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Like I feel like for some classes it helps that it's synchronous because like maybe for classes that are more heavy on the lecture, like you have the opportunity to ask the professor like questions, and then when it comes to the test, I feel like it's not all just memory, it's also like recalling what you learned in class. Yeah.
Should we have a short break to play some music?
All right, so now we're gonna play music by forgive me if I pronounce this wrong. 关能死者. Is it right, Jesse? All right, we're gonna cue that in right now, so y'all gonna hear that. We'll be back soon.
Surreal.傻瓜，但我并不爱他，我想忘记。妈妈，这世界太麻烦，我不知道咋办，无法逃离。周围全是 free friend， 我陷入虚幻的背叛，欠我的不需要他归还，我的灵魂早已溃烂。You take out my world with the right bad bitch, yeah. I'm like trapper in my wish，总是开不了口，不能安慰你，我的心请你带走 ，my bitch，做总是我自己，想法犯得起，我只是不确定，爱与不爱你，我懒得分析。I'm like J， 我不会胆怯，还会发神经，想不停呼吸，吸引他注意 ，just you and me。Baby， 我想早点睡，背对背，看不到我的布鲁飞，当我到了没？认清了他的鬼，不安将我包围，我像一个风吹。抓他，我像一个傻瓜，但我并不爱他，我想忘记。妈妈，这世界太麻烦，我不知道咋办，无法逃离，周围全是非 friend， 陷入循环的背叛，欠我的不需要他归还，我的灵魂早已溃烂。
我在你计划之外，谁有美丽的爱？我爱你，我之前留待，谁自觉用脑袋，用无止境的忍耐，我们真理也很爱，你的态度变得真怪，把我关在你的门外，天上太空的我以为你会离分，你只不过是我的另一个敌人，你们为啥被我当作你们？真的用力会和我一起去一战，一分开我就忘了命，当然我是那种人，注定没出息。现在已经20几，和你不能比，根本全部靠自己。
抓他，我像一个傻瓜，但我并不爱他，我想忘记。妈妈，这世界太麻烦，我不知道咋办，无法逃离，周围全是非 friend， 陷入循环的背叛，欠我的不需要他归还，我的灵魂早已溃烂。
Alright, we're back, guys. So, Michael, what you got for us now?
All right, welcome back, everyone. So about classes being online, do you guys notice a difference in the workload? Personally, for me, I think the professors like handled it like well and like transitioned the material like so there isn't like a huge difference in the workload. That's for my classes at least. For some,
I disagree.
You disagrey?
I disagree. No.
Why do you disagree? Do you see an increase in your workload?
Yes, especially in discussion board. Like used to be like maybe one, like not even like sometimes not even one class has a discussion board, but now every single one of my classes require a discussion board where you just respond to prompt, respond to your peers. Oh my god.
And my professor uses voice thread. It's like a discussion thingy too. She make us present there and we gotta reply to every folks and our students, and then I think it's also for my TAs too, it became ×5 work. I have to grade them. I have to grade everything online. I am not a good technology person and I'm struggling so much with using those.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I think the workload increased definitely for
my classes, and it does seem like a lot of work, especially for the TAs to grade it. I think if we were in person, everything would be a lot more easier and flow a lot better. But like individually, like recording every like question is kind of a pain, in my opinion. Yeah, Jennifer, what do you think about this?
For me, I think because of my classes this semester, I think the workload is about the same for me. There's not that much of a difference. Yeah, because all my classes are more like lecture, and then we just listen from lecture, and then we answer questions, or we just take the exam. So
I
about the
wish.
same. Sorry,
I
bad
really
day.
wish.
Speaking of exams, what are online exams like for you guys? So like taking those online quizzes and using Respondus.
I think Jesse and I both agree that the main difference is that because of respondents and everything and how bad our internet connection is, we always have to worry about if like it's gonna crash on us and then we can't go back, and what if the professor doesn't believe us? Yeah.
True. Also, I heard in respondents, if your face is out of the screen or if you hear some sounds, they flag the professor. The flag goes to the professor, and every time I'm so scared because there's 6 people living in this house. Sometimes there's like bam sounds. There's like lawning and outside. And I don't know if my face is inside the screen because there's no camera there. Because sometimes I go like when I can't see those questions, I put my face closer to the screen, and I'm actually scared of those. But I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's very extreme. Like Respondus, it sounds very scary. I don't use it personally for any of my classes, but I've heard like bad accounts of it.
I only started using it this semester, I think, and my first experience with it was not particularly good. So, yeah.
Yeah, there are some like professors that are very understanding, especially the ones that I have. They have like policies that are more forgiving. Like if you have internet connectivity issues or any issues like taking quizzes, and they're just like very understanding of these things. And just shout out to all those amazing professors. Good job to them.
Yeah, props to them. Yeah, I agree about that. Like most of my professors are like very forgiving of those things, and they understand. They usually like extend the time or stuff like that. Yeah, nice too.
Nice professors.
Yeah, nice professors. But I also heard that the school might introduce a new system instead of responders. Have you guys heard of it?
Yeah.
Honor lock?
Yeah.
Honor lock.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. I don't think any of my classes are using it so far.
Yeah.
Right too. But he said the Stony Brook doesn't support honor lock yet. They only use responders, so they're preparing for those.
So what's your worst like horror story in regards to like taking these online quizzes and tests? I can share mine first actually. This was from in spring 2020, before quarantine started. I was taking like a test for one of my classes, and it was running an hour long, but he gave us like additional time, and like I started it a little bit late, I suppose, and I was doing the exam, but I noticed at like the 10 o'clock mark that I had another class to attend where I had to take another quiz in person. So I took my laptop and I started walking to the building to my other class, right? But then there's no Wi-Fi in between the buildings, so I got disconnected and it just closed on me. And then I sat down for a second, just like in shock. I was like, it just logged me out. What am I gonna do?
I would cry.
So yeah, I just went to my next class and just took the quiz that I was supposed to take. I was late for it, by the way, and I missed like half of it. And then I just emailed the professor about the issue with the test. But it turned out alright. So it was okay.
That's good. How did you do on the second quiz though?
The quiz, yeah, it wasn't that great, but it's over and done. We move on.
Was it Chinese?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Listen, I was like, it has to.
Yeah.
What about you, Jesse? What's your worst experience?
I had a similar experience as Michael, where I was taking my exam was like at 9:30 in the morning, and I have a test. I have another class at 10:30, right? So then that class needed responders. So then I mind that like my internet is really bad in my room. So then I went in to do the responders, like the check, environment check and something. And then after I get through every single step, I got to the last step, and then it froze on me. The whole screen froze on me. And no matter what I clicked, it didn't work. And then so it was just me staring at my screen that's frozen for 10 minutes. I finally emailed my professor during that time, and then she told me to X out and go in again. But I tried that, but responders wouldn't open again. I have no idea why it doesn't open again, but it just doesn't open again. And by the time it's already 20 minutes into the exam, so that I restarted my computer and finally got into the exam. But I only had 30 minutes to do it. So
That's enough time for you, right?
30 minutes for 20 questions? I don't know about that. But it turned out okay at the end, I guess.
Yes. Smart girl pulling through.
It was very stressful though.
I feel this, guys.
I was panicking the whole entire time.
What about you, Julie?
For me, I didn't really have any issues using respondents or any exams. It's just one of my professors, instead of exams, he put it in quizzes, and we gotta answer. It's like a small class, so we gotta answer it in a minute for every question. And sometimes he gives us very philosophical questions and there's only one answer, and in 1 minute I just have to think like what's the answer for this, and then just send it to him. And I ask him questions in the middle. Can I like what's the meaning of this word, because English is my second language, guys, so I didn't know the definition. So I asked the professor and he said no questions during the quizzes, and I'm just like
Oh no. Yeah, I have a bad experience with philosophy classes too. I feel like a lot of times they ask for like one answer, and I'm like, technically it could be the other answer. It's like it feels very like based on your own perspective. Yeah, I dropped out of that class. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Me too. I was taking philosophy class with anatomy and physiology. So one side is taking humans are made out of arteries, veins, brains. Other side is talking about humans are made out of water and blah blah blah. I was so confused in the middle, like. But yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
Those stories,
It was very interesting.
they make me feel some type of way.
What type of way?
Anxious, just very anxious.
I mean, I also have an experience where I'm sorry, I think it's like, but I've also had like an experience where, like for you guys, I feel like it was out of your control, like it was like the Wi-Fi or something. But for me, like in person, you could go back and check your answers, right? But then online, some professors make it so like you can't backtrack, so you can't go back to the last question. And so one time, I read the question as if it was asking for what was true. But then, when I clicked next, I realized that it said false in bold. I mean, not in bold, but in big letters, all caps. And that's when I knew I messed up.
No, but, I had same issues with her. I read the question. It says choose the one that's
yeah.
wrong. I chose the right one and clicked it.
Yeah. It's like those questions where you just missed the no, and you pick all the wrong answers. And you're so confident in it too. It's always like, you're so confident and you submit right away. And then like, it only comes to you after you click submit. It's like, wait a second. The moment of regret.
I
Right?
feel that. Me too. I have the same like no backtracking for one of my classes, and
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Do you guys think you guys feel more anxious with these exams like, now that they're online, or back when you guys were in person and you guys would have to like, you know, come into the testing rooms and, you know, just wait with all your peers and just like, you know, have anxious discussions about the exams, like last minute studying?
I think
Jesse, you're muted.
I'm more anxious in person because like when you see a bunch of people like waiting out of like Frey Hall or like Javits 100 with like all like very nervous expressions, it makes me even more nervous than like if I were to be alone. What about you, Julie?
For me, I think I personally did better in in-person exams, probably because my memory became worse and worse after I turned online exams. And every time I see those, it's because I became so lazy. But every time I see those questions on my exams, I can't remember. But in person, probably because of the anxiousness that everyone's waiting outside of those hallways, probably I shoved it more in my head. I don't know, but online, it just, I don't know. I think I got worse from those.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this quarantine and like pandemic thing is doing some weird things to us too. Like, I just feel different, you know.
Oh my god.
But in regards to like the online exams and things, I feel like it's been more or less the same for me. I just feel anxious about it regardless if it's online or in person.
Can you still make it?
Yeah, I can relate to that too. I feel that. I just feel anxious for Carlos. But on that note, I lost track of what I was gonna say.
Okay, I mean, do you want to move on to the next question?
Yes, please.
Alright, so do you guys think that, you know, this like new landscape for like education is gonna be like the future or like standard for like young students? Like moving forward, will there be a lot more like online learning?
I think there will be, because for like the environment's gonna go bad as time goes through, so they probably will put more effort on improving online classes. But to be honest, I really want the younger people who are growing up right now to have more in-person classes and to communicate and to feel, you know, how education touches you instead of sitting in front of a computer and like typing on the keyboards. I actually went to Mountain with my friends and we all talked about that. Oh, actually after it turned online class, we're only looking at the screen 24/7. Like out of 24 hours, I think I'm looking at the screen more than 12 hours just to study and everything. And I don't think that's good for us or the people who's gonna grow up and the youngers.
I think my eyesight got worse from staring at the screen.
Wait, my cousins too, they're in elementary school, 5th grade. And you know, in in-person classes, when they have PE classes, they run in the field and play basketball and everything. But now they're just stuck in their room and just watching on their iPads about like the physics of PE, which is really sad. Like they're just stuck in their house from 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. just sitting down in front of the iPad listening to those classes.
Yeah, it's really like upsetting to think about. So we're gonna take a short break and play some music.
Yeah. All right. So the next song we're gonna play is "生三." I believe that's the title of the song. So we'll get right to it.
Got me feeling like falling in love, take it there. You shine like a diamond. Come and wiggle in the moonlight, so bright if they're waiting for someone. Hates make waves but die. You're the only one headed to what I gonna promise but die. Let me tell you how's it gonna be. Give me that 浪漫的时间 Give me that 炙热的视线 Give me that 是你的指点，只属于我们的世界 赤裸的腼腆美妙的危险直白的体验，直到你唯一的备选。当我们丢掉防卫，眼神交汇的瞬间，掉进了答案，只剩下单选的实体卷。第一次我陪你实验，爱情我给你指点，确定是你主演，不遮掩的情节。跳过前奏，气氛是火热，镁光灯下baby在左侧，身体接触剧情是叵测，温度升高需要买可乐，别门 lady 牵我的左手，我比熟练都跟着我走，抛开害羞，肢体不闪躲，专心和我做胸部探索。I told you I just cannot control myself, so babe, forgive me if I ever forget to behave。想要你和我一起往我的胃，从极致滑到了深夜，我这里时间快乐的深陷，再来一遍。我们之间的距离放映着每分记忆的故事片。你我呼吸在重叠，脑海里有了音节，好像突然懂点。别担心云霄飞车初体验，我都陪你做。我答应绝招扮演主题线，我都跟你做。在此刻，我想对你说，我想对你说 ，baby baby， 今夜的月色是我对你唱着。Give me that 浪漫的时间 Give me that 炙热的视线 Give me that 是你的指点，只属于我们的世界赤裸的腼腆美妙的危险直白的体验，直到你唯一的备选。当我们丢掉防卫，眼神交汇的瞬间，掉进了答案，只剩下单选的实体卷。第一次我陪你实验，爱情我给你指点，确定是你主演，不遮掩的情节。我触碰到了你不自觉做出的反应，不需要去考虑是 automatic 的感应。你眼神的肯定，我故作太镇定，对你不断靠近是无法抗拒的本性。Let me feel your body on me, I'm so dope. Shut it baby, chillin', don't say no. 我威力再不火，你施展的蛊惑，把所有一点原生话里说的都给我。当我第一次认定句点就是你的时候，我抱紧你的时候，那时刻把时间尽我全力铭刻，体温在瞬间融合，记忆在瞬间定格。Tonight is far away, maybe wide away. I just wanna say, baby, won't you stay? I know what you way, show you how to wave. That is all I gave, no more X say. Now you're gonna listen up, cause this is a song just for you. Give me that 浪漫的时间 Give me that 炙热的视线 Give me that 是你的指点，只属于我们的世界赤裸的腼腆美妙的危险直白的体验，直到你唯一的备选。当我们丢掉防卫，眼神交汇的瞬间，掉进了答案，只剩下单选的实体卷。第一次我陪你实验，爱情我给你指点，确定是你主演，不遮掩的情节。
All right, welcome back, everyone. So you guys are all familiar with Zoom and all the difficulties, the technical difficulties that come with using Zoom. You guys want to share any like stories you've heard about like failures that like happen on Zoom?
I got you. Okay, so this happened in one of my classes that I TA for. So it was like a normal class, and then like, I think the professor was changing some slides or something, so it was kind of like cricket silence, and then suddenly out of nowhere you just hear a student curse, and then like, so the professor was really shocked, and then I was really shocked because I was like, what just happened? And then apparently the person didn't realize that like their mic was unmuted, and they were just cursing about some technical difficulty that they had while on Zoom. But it was a very awkward experience.
Yeah.
Mine is pretty fun. So our professor was in in her lecture, and their dog came. So she showed us her dog. It was so cute.
That's not a fail. That's a success. Honestly, I'm always like paranoid that like my mic isn't muted during class, and then like I might say something that's like distracting to the class or something. I always double checked so those occurrences don't happen.
Me too.
But it's definitely been happening a lot with like a lot of people. I've heard a lot of stories about that. So one story about a Zoom fail that I've personally like heard of. So one of my friends attends a class in a different university, and for them, like they have like half of the class in person and half of the class like online. So so he's still in the classroom teaching, right? But he needs to set up a camera so that the online half of the class can learn as well. So the professor like set up the laptop and pointed the camera at the whiteboard. So, and then he started like writing and teaching on the whiteboard. But the issue was like the quality isn't great, and like you're not gonna see the whiteboard well from a laptop camera, so they couldn't see anything. And the students, they were trying to communicate with the professor by like writing on the shared screen on Zoom, right? It was like we can't see and like help. It's like look at the chat, and then I guess they just like sat there for like 50 minutes trying to contact the professor.
Whoa, that's
They can't do anything. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's gonna be a hard time for professors to,
yeah,
techno.
this is really hard for a lot of professors.
Mm-hmm.
And also like a funny like image that I saw online. It was talking about like how some people like they mute their mic if they need to like pass gas. So like I guess they're like conditioned to do it. So there was this one student who accidentally unmuted his mic, passed gas, and it had his like camera light up, I guess, so everyone knew it was him, and then he unmuted. Right.
Oh my
God.
And I won't lie, like I think I've almost done that a couple of times before in my classes. It's natural. I don't think anyone should be judged for it. We all do it. Yeah. Okay. And so moving on, I want to ask you guys about what's it like planning online events?
I think it's a lot harder to plan online events because you want to try to like plan an event that like people will be willing to come to when it's in an online setting, and a lot of people are frankly like not willing to come because it's online. So yeah, so it's really hard to find interesting topics to present online so that it attracts people to come. I think that's the hardest part.
Also, it is very limited. Like the topics are very limited, and since we can't do in person and give out stuff like foods, cause since it's a cultural club, when we hold events, we try to serve them Chinese foods. But after it turned online and all those restrictions, it's very hard for them to like introduce to Chinese culture.
Yeah. I've found it like I think it's difficult to like do all of this within like the span of a couple of months. You know, this was also sudden, and the news that we're gonna have to run everything online came like very last minute. So, you know, we had to kind of change everything within like a short span of like a couple of months, and that's not easy at all for any of the club leaders. Also, like, it's difficult to get students to come to online events. You know. Jennifer, do you have anything to say about that?
I also think that it's also harder for everyone to communicate. Like back then, I feel like when we have meetings, it's like easier to like talk to people and get people to share ideas. But now that it's Zoom, like people are like unwilling to show their face, like use the camera. And then it also makes it harder for the other person because they don't see any faces and just see a bunch of black screens. I think like professors would agree on that too. It's just harder to communicate and try to coordinate like a good event as well.
Right. Definitely a lot of awkward.
But yeah. But speaking of events, right? We still try to make a very interesting event in 2 weeks on October 30th. The escape room themed event called Escape the Palace. A lot of our members worked hard to come up with the idea and create like code the game for it, like the escape room for it.
Wow.
And you know, Michael, do you want to talk a little bit about what it's about, we're gonna do?
Yeah, I can't give away too much because it's a kind of a surprise, but it's basically an escape the room online. So you guys can come with a couple of friends and, you know, smart buddies that can help you like follow along with the story and escape the palace. And we're gonna have prizes for the team that like wins first or like fastest. So I think this is it's gonna be a very exciting event. I personally like this one a lot, and I'm very excited to do it, you know.
Yeah, me too. I think it's like very interactive and interesting. Also, it incorporates like it's inspired by a Chinese drama. So, you know, if you guys want to come, I'm curious about what the escape room is based on, come through. Julie, what were you guys saying?
Nothing. I said it's very creative.
Yeah.
The storyline is very interesting.
Yeah, we'll give you a hint. It's like historical based with some modern elements to it. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in at WSB 90.1 FM. Join us again next week at 8 p.m. We will have a very special guest. They are KSA, the Korean Student Association here at Stony Brook University. 3 of their cabinet members will come and join us to talk about their experiences as Stony Brook University students and as Korean Americans. So join us next week, and I'll cue in the last music for today. It is called 他只是经过, which means he's just passing by. I hope you enjoy, and bye bye, see ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.
它只是经过你的世界，并没有停留，只偶尔听说谁说关于他你又会触动，眼泪又滴落闪动，太多的话都变沉默，你给的问候温柔，所有都被一笔带过。他曾说的话有没有兑现？他现在又站在谁的对面？谁又让你站在暴雨中的街角淋着整夜？曾陪他逛过的每个路口，为何你停留不走？低头想了很多，每一句 goodbye good night， 慢慢堆叠变成无奈，他给的伤害还在，变成梦你醒不来，他只是经过你的世界，并没有停留，只偶尔听说谁说关于他你又会触动，对他的思念 day by day by day， 从他的口中全都变成一句无所谓，为他而学的唱的情歌他早忘了，但是还在你的播放列表里面排的前几位，看他的现状他那份爱羞啊，谁会在意你呢？他早都忘了，这也许对你是种折磨。你所有的所有，只剩下他一个，可这种感受有谁能懂？亲密的照片和留言，全扔进垃圾桶，谁又会来当你的树洞？他只是经过